Hi, this is Greg Garcia, tying at the Anglers All Tying Studio. Today I'm going to be tying a Brian Silvey pattern. It's the Tungsten Caddis Pupa. You can tie them in 14, 16s, olives, and tan. Today I'll tie a tan fly for you. Brian's a great tyer. He does everything from trout to steelhead to salt. He's the real deal and fantastic tyer, and pleasure to know him. So let's just get at it. Thank you. Okay, so first part of this, we're going to start with a Tiemco 2487. This is a size 14, and I've mounted on there 3/32 gold tungsten bead. My thread today is the camel 8/0 in the uni thread, and just kind of a quick little shout out here to the guys at Umpqua for sending me a bunch of these new Tiemco bobbins. They're super cool. We'll talk about them later in another video, but you can actually adjust this little tubing here, and whether we're tying big long flies or little short flies. I really love these. Anyway, so to get started, mount our thread right behind the bead, and that little band of thread is only about the width of the eye of the hook. And then the next thing, we're going to do a little prep here, and this is some pearl core braid. And what I'm going to do is, typically I'll cut the end, flatten it out, and we need to shape this a little bit. So with a lighter, you're just going to go in, warm it up, lick your fingers so you don't burn yourself as you kind of taper that down. And sometimes you have to do it a couple times to get it right, but pretty easy. The length of this fly is not much longer than the bend of the hook. But the first thing we're going to do is get a little bit of Zap-A-Gap super glue, whatever you may have on your bench. Lay a little bead down, and then I'm going to mount this right on top, again just past the bend of the hook. And then we're going to tie this in. I'm going to hold that back piece on top of the hook so it stays in place a little bit. And talking to Brian, that's a very important part of this. Otherwise, this little piece will flap around a little too much, which he doesn't like. And I do believe it gives that a better appearance of that fly. The next piece is we're going to grab some grizzly tan marabou. These are going to become the legs underneath the fly, and then also the thorax. And I'm going to make about 2 to 3 wraps. So I'm going to kind of predetermine how much of this I need. And it's going to be about maybe a hook and a half of the hook shank, maybe 2 to start off with. You guys can everyone can kind of get a feel for that. Then at this point, I'm just going to cut this right off. If I let go of this, a bunch of barbs will fall off, so hold on to that. I'm going to come back about a little bit past the width of the bead itself. And then before I start to wind this forward, we twist this, kind of keep everything in place for us. And once I do that, I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of the fly. Then I'm going to come back up to the top. This is probably the most difficult part of this whole fly. It's doing this little process, because you can see if you let go, everything goes crazy on us. Maybe wet it just a bit. Okay. So get it in place to the bead. I'm going to tie that in so it doesn't go anywhere. Then I can fold this underneath the hook, and then with a couple of wraps, maybe 3 wraps backwards, I can trap all of that underneath the fly. And those are the legs of that fly. The next part is I'm going to get some starling. And if you see on the starling, it's got that nice little feathers. They almost look like jungle cock. And we're going to strip a couple of those off. And these are going to be the wing buds. So grab this material. I'm just going to kind of strip back to what I don't want. I'm going to tie one of these on each side. Go back on the stem just to make sure it's in place and not going to slip out. I'll do the other side. Lay that on the camera side, same length. Trap it in with my finger. Couple wraps. Then I'm going to pull this back, make another wrap on top of that stem, and that will ensure that this doesn't peel out for you. All right. So we have 2 little wing pads. Give you a little quick look there. Next, we're going to get a little bit of dubbing. This is a rusty brown. Most of these caddis get a really kind of a reddish brown head to them as they are emerging. It's true on pretty much all the caddis out there. And then I am just going to come back just slightly. This head shouldn't be super big. Really shouldn't be much bigger than, you know, maybe the eye width of the hook. Get a little bit more in there just to fill up a little bit of a gap. If we get too much in there, we'll just make this a little bit too bulky. So I want to keep this nice and sparse. Now the next piece for the antenna is some plumage of, we can use hen hackle, partridge would work. Here I'm going to use a little bit of grouse. I really like the curvature of this grouse and simplicity of it. And it's only going to take about, anywhere from 2 to 3 pieces of this. Brian only uses 2, so I'm going to peel 2 of those off. Want to lay that right on top of the hook. Maybe just past the body. Then at this point I can tie this in. Separate them a little bit. Now the water, as you fish this is going to undulate back and forth. There we kind of got a little split, which I like. And then I'm just going to peel or pull that piece back. Again, just kind of like on the And then I'll whip finish. Two, three wraps should do it. Snip that off. And then we have Brian Silvey's Tungsten Caddis Pupa. Great fly. No really wrong way to fish this. He says you can put it under a hopper, do a dropper, hopper-dropper combination. You can just straight nymph it, or you can swing it. It's a great little swing fly as well. Either way, there's no bad way to fish it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tune into our YouTube videos. Subscribe if you like them. And also, you can catch us on Vimeo. Thank you.